I'll be more specific than that. Well, I've been putting out records for 16 years under various Foetus names. Foetus on the glass, scraping Foetus up the wheel. You've got Foetus on your breast, Foetus All Nude Review, Philip and his Foetus Vibrations, Foetus Art Terrorism, the Foetus of Excellence, Foetus Interruptus, Foetus Corruptus, Foetus in Excelsis Corruptus Deluxe, Foetus Inc., Foetus in Your Bed, various other titles like that. I've also, I play all the instruments on all the Foetus records. The new album is called Gash. It came out last year just under the name Foetus. It's the first studio album. I've had other musicians contribute to. The previous Foetus studio album was called Thaw. It came out under the name Foetus Interruptus in 1988. Between 88 and 95, there's 7 years I put out 2 double live Foetus albums, a Foetus double compilation record, 2 Steroid Maximus albums, the Wise Blood mini album with Lydia Lunch, produced 4 albums, did about 30 remixes, then spent 2 years writing Gash. And here I am now doing a world tour. We toured the States last summer. We're doing a 40-day tour of Europe right now. Then we go back. I've started writing the new Foetus album called Bust, and we're coming back in the summer to do festivals and go to Japan and Australia. Every time I tour, it's with a band, and it's a different band each time.
Why do you change the Foetus name all the time?
Because I'm a Dadaist, I think. But no one had done it before, and I like the idea of creating different identities and different names for different subject matter. Like one may be more political orientated, one may be more pure diary.
But now you call yourself just Foetus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've previously using all the different names. Each time I was shedding a skin or shedding some placenta or shedding light onto something. And now I've just whittled it down to just Foetus. Because I still got Steroid Maximus, Clint Ruin, and various other guys to take care of.
What happened to Clint Ruin? We haven't heard of him for a long time.
He got run over in a terrible accident, and he's still recovering, so I don't know if he can ever sing again. Well, there have been some firings within the corporation, but he's not one of them. He's become a silent partner, mainly because I tell him to sit down and shut up.
Do you get a lot of inspiration from cartoons like The Simpsons?
I get inspiration from anything from cartoons to music to Indian soundtracks to something a bum would say to me on the street, or to, things I overhear, or just things that just come out of my head. I don't think I'm really influenced per se by stuff. I think around about 83 I hit my stride, and ever since then I've just been kind of influencing myself, and I put a discipline upon myself to create within a vacuum when I'm in the studio. So it's coming from as deep a place as possible, both emotionally and musically and spiritually.
You say we will see Clint Ruin again?
He might poke his head out. Yeah, we'll see. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. Nothing is denied. Maximum sensory input, maximum sensory output.
Will we hear anything more from Wise Blood?
I don't think so. That's kind of laid to rest for now. Yeah, well, I formed a corporation last year called Ectopic Ants, Inc., out of Delaware, and the first 7 releases are out. It's basically a subsidiary of Self-Immolation, which is the label I use for Foetus, the corporate identity, and this corporate identity thing is for offshoots of Foetus. Like it's been so far, I've released the double live album, Male, Mesomorph Endurus Volume 1, which is 15 American bands, Clint and Lydia, Don't Fear the Reaper, Wise Blood mini album, and the 2 Steroid Maximus albums, and the next releases, which will be coming up this year, is I'm putting out other bands, first of which is an album by 101 Crustaceans, a New York band who kind of sound like Robert Wyatt meets the Beatles meets Glenn Branca, and the soundtrack of the Atrocity Exhibition, the J.G. Ballard book, the film of that, which I'm doing the music for, along with, and then there's also music by Caspar Brotzmann, F.M. Einheit, Maine, James Plotkin, Furness, a few other people. And I'm releasing that, and I'm also doing a series called 10 by 10, which is a series of 10 clear vinyl 10 inches in clear plastic sleeves by up-and-coming New York bands. Like the first 9 will be individually available, and that will be Elysian Fields, Halcyon, Ultra Bide, Chrome Cranks, Morning Glories, Bliss Blood from the Paintines, Rabbit in the Straw, a couple of other bands. And the 10th one will be a Foetus 10-inch, but it'll only be available in the box set. You have to buy all 10 to get the Foetus one. so that's one of my proposed things. And I'm writing the new Foetus album, which is called Bust, B-U-S-T.
Yeah, four-letter word again.
Yeah, four letter words with one syllable, and they all have multiple meanings. Like gash is a derogatory term for female in American slang, which means like pussy or bitch or something. But it also means a deep wound, and like a lot of the songs on that are about the breakdown of a relationship I had. And now Bust is the perfect follow-up because it means breasts, and it also means broken. So I guess this is my 2 albums back-to-back of like women who did me wrong.
You have some hot topics on your new CD, like Steal Your Life Away. Where do you stand in the abortion discussion?
Well, I think Take It Outside, God Boy says it all. It's all, I'm totally pro-choice. And that Take It Outside, God Boy is anti-Christian dogma, and anti-people telling you what to do, and anti-people who blow up abortion clinics. In fact, it's got a couple of quotes about that. You know, like when you quote the Bible is when I load my rifle. It's like, you know, if you're declaring war on me, I'm going to declare war back on you. And that's my statement of war.
You've worked with many of the bands on the more commercial music scene, like EMF and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I'm on the commercial music scene too. I don't draw any distinctions between underground and overground.
But have these groups influenced you in any way?
No, I've influenced them. They all come to me, you know, and it just started. The ball started rolling so much. I was getting so many offers, and I turned down a lot of stuff. But if I get a chance to do some of those bands, I mean, like, I'm not going to turn it down because I now have a really huge archive of stuff. A lot of unreleased stuff by all those bands. I have a great bootleg company. Not that I'm going to do it, but it's just a good opportunity through remixing to subvert the masses in the music that I'm doing. Because often, like, there's nothing left of the song at all except the vocal and all the music that I've added to it. And I get a chance to experiment and mess around in ways that I wouldn't necessarily be doing on a Foetus track, but then I can take the success of the experiments and apply it to my own music.
Have you gone away from the more underground scene?
I've got my foot in every scene. People I'm working with, I work with unsigned bands all the time. You can't get much more underground than the people that I work with.
Yeah, say people you work with. Do you think you ever work with bands like Coil and Nurse with Wind again?
If they ask me, I might. As I say, I don't distinguish between underground and overground, but, you know, I mean, you can't get much more underground than a band that doesn't even have a record out yet, you know. And I go and see bands, and I help them get record deals, and like this 10x10, 10-inch series. I mean, a lot of these bands haven't even had records out, you know. So, you know, I work as a, you know, promoting bands and as an entrepreneur as well.
Do you put a label on your own music?
No, of course not. It's Foetus music. I think I'm creating new forms of music. I'd say industrial, jazz, punk, music, avant classical, poo poo caca. That's pretty much covers it. Every time, it's a goodbye every time, you know.
Maybe you use Norwegian next time.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. I had to make them up as far as I knew. Yeah. It's just the perfect way to end an album, and also it's a sort of a statement of you don't know whether it means a break. It's supposed to mean both suicide and a breakup of a relationship, and also like see you later. To see you later, Nikita. You got any final wishes? Like it sort of connotates that the narrator is about to murder this person, but it also means you got any final wishes, like execution. It also means you got any final wishes, as in the breakup of a relationship. And it's also the last track on the album, so it's see you later.
Your 2 first albums, it's a new release on them, isn't it?
The first, Deaf and Ache, I'm probably forming an information service, and I'm going to release them on CD, mail order only.
Do you have plans to release any of the other CDs?
Well, last year I had 10 CDs reissued, like Hole, Nail, Thaw, Sink, and Dirt Dish were all reissued in the States, and the 2 Steroid Maximus, the Double Live Male, and the Wise Blood and Clinton Lydia EPs were all re-released. And then It depends on the country. Like the licensing deal went down in Belgium, for example, and then now in this week, in fact, they're re-releasing another 5 CDs on through Rough Trade. So it's like every different territory has different releases out. Depends on, and I'm not sure what's out here. You know, it's hard to keep up. You know, I'm moving forward, and I've got people to take care of that stuff.
We talk about all the records. Whatever happened with Foetus on the Beach record?
That's a project that's always completion date is always 2 years in the future.
So you have never, there's
Well,
never been a release.
I had the whole concept for it back in like '81, and then Mad Max 2 came out, and it was my entire concept was gone out the window because that's exactly what the concept of Foetus on the Beach was. It was post-apocalypse, kind of Romeo and Juliet, where people were affected by radiation, so they could only sing, you know. And it was sort of a musical. If you imagine The Road Warrior done as a musical, that's what it was like. But since that's been kind of done now, I just consider it as an unfinished project which may never see the light of day. Well, you may never know.
I guess so.
We actually did that in the wilds of Holland, and there was like sheep walking around, and we took all the photos in the dark, and just it was pitch dark, and then the flash would come on, so no one ever knows whether we were or not. I think there's enough documentation of myself and Lydia's sexual exploits already out there, so it's yet another one.
It's no big deal.
No big deal. It's a good picture, though.
Yes.
Okay, you're listening to Music Extra. This is Jim Thirlwell from Foetus on P4, and if you're gonna get down and pray.